Politically, we are still stuck in the systems of thought of the Greek and Roman slave states, no matter how much we rant about democracy. Wilhelm Reich.
I don't want to ask this question in a general way. I want to, let's say, focus on one aspect of the fourth industrial revolution, Bitcoins.
Klaus did not say blockchain or distributed or even central bank digital currency. He said part of the fourth industrial revolution is Bitcoins. He is saying part of the fourth industrial revolution is crypto.
And we have seen digital currencies, I should also say, decentralized digital currencies. We have seen the rise of Bitcoin, of Ethereum, of Ripple, and so on.
Usually when a central banker talks about digital currencies, they mean CBDC or some type of private network. Klaus backtracks and says decentralized digital currencies. That means crypto. And then he mentions Ripple.
So my question would be, what is your stance actually on decentralized currencies? And in your opinion, can they contribute to financial stability, or are they a threat to financial stability? And maybe, if I remember well, you have suggested that
the question Klaus asks is, what's your stance on decentralized crypto? Can they contribute to the economy or take away? You'll notice that Lagarde never addresses this question.
ECB might create a digital currency in the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. What would be actually the benefits of such a move, and what could be the pitfalls of such a move? Mm. And how, I would say, would it strengthen or weaken the position of the euro on a global level?
The second question Klaus asks is, what about the digital euro? Can it strengthen or weaken on a global level? He first says strengthen and weaken as an afterthought. Remember, he said earlier that crypto is part of the fourth industrial revolution, so he's obviously biased towards digital currencies and technological change.
I wish we had another hour to ourselves, Klaus, for that one. But I'll try to.
This is a complicated question, and she wishes she has a whole nother hour. Now, the stance that the politicians have given is that crypto is a scam for tax evaders and money launderers. Obviously, the central bankers disagree.
Zoom in a few things. Number one, I think that all cryptocurrencies, alleged to be cryptocurrencies, are not currencies at all. They are speculative assets, the valuation of which changes enormously over the course of time, and they present themselves as currencies, which they are not. So I think that we should all, in the financial sector and at the regulatory level, call a spade a spade. An asset is an asset, has to be regulated as such, has to be supervised by the asset regulators and supervisors, but should not claim that it is a currency. It is not.
Klaus's question was, are decentralized cryptos going to strengthen the economy? She does not answer the question. Her first thought is about labeling crypto as digital assets. This has been Brad Garlinghouse's mantra. Now, what's interesting is if you knew the end game, and Lagarde certainly knows what's going on behind the curtain, would your first thought about crypto be regulatory labeling? If you are asked, is decentralized crypto going to strengthen the economy, would you say we need to call them digital assets and not label them cryptocurrencies? That doesn't make any sense. Perhaps Ripple's litigation is on our mind. Now, the other part of this is, if crypto did weaken the economy, would they get to a $2 trillion market cap? I'd say no. They would have been banned a long time ago.
Second category is stable coins, and those are devices that have been invented by some of the big technology companies. Facebook is certainly a leading example. There are many others around as well. And stable coins are pretending to be a coin, but in fact, it's completely associated with an actual currency. For instance, some of them are saying that they can be used for transactions, but their value will be exactly aligned to the dollar, for instance. Fine, but again, let's call a spade a spade. If it is so, then it has to also guarantee to those holding coins that they can exchange those coins for dollar, and therefore those coin issuers should have to back up their coins as many dollars as they have coins. That needs to be checked, supervised, regulated, so that consumers and users of those devices can actually be guaranteed against potential misrepresentation. I think very recent history has showed that those reserve currencies were not always available and as liquid as they were intended to be.
Facebook's Diem is her concern. Facebook announced Libra in 2019 and was quickly stopped by the US government and US central bankers. Facebook's Diem left Switzerland and moved back to the US. Libra or Diem was announced in 2019, and that announcement started to pump the crypto markets, but was quickly stopped by regulators. Now Diem is announced to go live later this year. Crypto has been pumping this year. The US uses the private sector for innovation, unlike China. And as you know, we're in a tech cold war with China, and the national financial infrastructure needs to be trusted, therefore needs to be built by the US private sector. Libra was supposed to be a basket of currencies that turned into a dollar-backed stablecoin. Lagarde mentions that the stablecoin will need to be backed 100% by reserves and overseen by regulators, or in this case, the US government. This is going to be the first US systemically important crypto that went through all of the regulatory hurdles. This means that Diem is so important that if anything were to happen, the Fed would need to bail them out. If the US government needs a CBDC for whatever reason, this fully regulated stablecoin by the private sector is going to be their choice.
Third is the digital currencies that the Central Bank of China has been experimenting upon for the last 7 years, that the ECB has decided to experiment upon for the next 2 years before it makes final decision to go ahead with it, which the Bank of England is looking at with the same kind of approach, and which the Fed will soon be issuing a paper about to determine which way it goes. At the European Central Bank, we believe that we should be ready and have the technology available in order to respond to customer demands. If customers prefer to use digital currency rather than have banknotes and cash available, it should be available. And we should respond to that demand and make sure that we have a solution that is European-based, that is secure, that is available under friendly terms, that can be used as a mean of payment at reasonable terms as well, and does not jeopardize the whole banking system, which should be part and parcel of the proposal. So that's the reason why we've decided to go ahead with a 2 years experiment to make sure that we can actually respond to that demand. Availability, just as cash is available and will continue to be available, but it will be a consumer's preference. Safety and security of the device, user friendliness, cheap cost, and ways of transacting business that will be recognized and accepted not only in the euro area but around the world.
The central bank digital currencies in the West are further away than people realize. They need Congress to approve the law for the Fed to have a direct line to the people. Now, this is a big deal. The way the Fed is set up is to limit power. We have a split model, meaning the Fed should only be able to issue reserves and the banking system uses those reserves. The retail customer, or us, doesn't have access to reserves. We use money in our bank account. Diem is a way for the Fed to work closely with the private sector and bypass Congress. Like the stock market and the repo market, all markets, the Fed is working closely with the private companies, and this has been labeled crony capitalism. It's interesting that people like Elon Musk that have benefited from crony capitalism announce their crypto involvement. Or how about some of the founding members of Diem Association like Visa or PayPal, that they have announced their involvement with crypto. Blockchain and crypto are 100% the future. The big guys are positioning. The people that know more than us are positioning for something massive.
That they just cannot tolerate it. And I think that in that respect, the trade-off that we reach will probably require some redistribution, because it is clear that the most exposed people, the less privileged people, are those that are going to need some help.
The central planners are going to continue to inflate. Universal base income will happen to keep the masses calm. And this is why the Fed needs a retail CBDC, or diem. The digital dollars need to be directly given to the people. Man's right to know, to learn, to inquire, to make bona fide errors, to investigate human emotions must by all means be safe, if the word freedom should ever be more than an empty political slogan. Wilhelm Reich. Thanks everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show. Please help me out by sharing and liking the video. If you're interested, I have a Patreon.